Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Motivational Monday. We're back in the shop today. There's a bunch of stuff going on, so hopefully I can stay focused. We got Brad setting up a Pro 275 car. The boys are back there working. Jaybird's hanging a front end on a Dodge, and Dalton and Brian are slaving away on production parts. We kind of had talked about something that we wanted to try to do at Norwalk, but it just timing didn't happen. No Prep Kings is so crazy. I mean, it's unreal. And we are just thankful for the amount of people that love Charlie Brown. It was, all day, man. It was no complaints. It was a lot. And we're really thankful for everybody that came and bought shirts. And it was just an awesome experience. But today, I was reminded of something that happened last year. It would have been almost a year ago, or a little over a year ago. We were racing Ultra Street, or Extreme Street, with Mike and Sam Farmer's orange car. And man, Ultra Extreme Street is so competitive. It's not cutthroat because everybody races super nice, but it is on the racetrack. Like, it's just, the racing is so tight. And we took the car to Atlanta. And then we kind of kept progressing throughout the season. We did all the NMCA races. And we were trying to find our footing with the car just because we had just started racing it. Didn't have as much time to test as we wanted to. All those things that happen when you're racing a car. And we had finally really started to find our footing with it. And we were at Martin, Michigan, at US 131, one of my favorite racetracks on the planet. And we were doing great. We qualified in the top 10. We were racing, man. The car was responding to everything we were doing, and Brad just kept nibbling away at the tune-up. We were going faster each lap, and we found ourselves going in the third round. And that was the farthest that we had been that year. So, of course, really stoked. We actually beat Fiscus. We beat a couple other people that were, really doing it. And we were going into the third round to race Joel Greathouse, which Joel is he's one of the greatest of all time in Ultra Street. And the KBX guys, just a true, just class act, man. They have raced Ultra Street for a really long time, and they are really good at it. So we were very excited to race Joel and those guys, and I think they were equally excited to race us as kind of the up-and-coming kids, if you will. And we're hanging out in the lanes. Everybody's getting ready. It's just a good vibe, man. And we go, we push up, and I got all my helmet on and everything. The boys unhook the car. Brad goes to the starting line, and I go to start the car, and the fuel pump sounds like it's got gravel in it. And the car, it kind of starts, but it doesn't, and it won't run, man. It will not run. And, we're taking the hood off. We're doing everything we can do, looking at stuff, but it won't run because it ain't got no gas in it. It won't go. And in that moment, that race car was so pretty. It looked awesome. If you've ever seen it, maybe Ricky could throw up a picture of the Bad Penny. It's a beautiful car. It's beautiful. But in that moment, it was completely and utterly useless. And it made me think of something, that without spark and ignition, race cars, they're just this pretty thing that sits there. They have no without that spark and ignition, they have no purpose. They can't do anything. And a lot of times people are kind of like that. We all experience when we ain't got no gas in us, and the car or you won't fire. And life has a way of really removing that fire from your belly, and you lose it, and you lose your zeal for life. And that happens to all of us. And just like the Bad Penny in that circumstance, man, you may look a certain way, you may have the outside appearance is awesome, but inside you got no fire. And without that fire, you're useless. And I think in life, there's something pretty unique about that with a race car. is we have to put gas in it, right? It has to be continually filled up. And even in our world today, we're always looking for resources that don't take as much, right? Like the electric car thing is a huge deal right now because it's, lower emissions, it's all this stuff, which it is. But the electric car still needs to get charged. There's really no resource in the world, and somebody that's way smarter than me may correct me, but that's truly doesn't take anything to make it happen. There has to be something that's feeding it, that gets that ball rolling, and some may be more efficient than others, but it always costs us something, and they always have to be refilled or recharged from somewhere, even the best resources. And that made me think of life for me, that I continually have to be charged up. If I'm running on empty and I'm running on fumes, I'm not as effective as I am when I'm on full blast. And there's a verse in the Bible, a little story in the Bible that makes me think of this. And again, like we say at every Motivational Monday, you don't have to believe to belong here. So I believe that the Bible is the ultimate authority in my life, but it may not be in yours, and that's okay. There's still some, however you think about it, there's some really awesome stories in here and really awesome teachable moments. But in this particular story in John 4, Jesus is there and he's thirsty and he's at a well, which that's a kind of a funny thing to even think about, is Jesus is God incarnate, and it says and I'm just going to paraphrase so we can kind of quicken this up, but it says that he stopped at the well because he was thirsty. And that's just kind of interesting to me, that the God of the universe was thirsty, so he stopped. And he could, I don't know, you could go on a whole tangent with that. But he's there, and there's a woman that's there that's obviously also thirsty. The well at that time was a huge deal, right? That's where a lot of their energy came from. That's where a lot of social gathering even came from, because you had to go to the well to get the water. And it was a journey every day to do that. So they're having a conversation, and he starts talking about, and Jesus always talks in parables, and kind of you'll notice in Motivational Monday we kind of do the same thing. We take normally the Racecars, the teachable moment, and then we bring it back home. I didn't come up with that idea. That was Jesus. But anyway, he says, anyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I give will never thirst again. And to anyone that was listening, that was such a foreign idea, that you could have a water that doesn't run out. And what Jesus is talking about in this parable, and this is where I'm going to relate it to myself, is we do a lot, man, and there's always a lot going on. And it takes a lot to keep it going. It takes a lot to be there for, number one, being there for my family and my kids and my wife and all that stuff. And then everything that we do here takes a lot. And everything just takes a lot of energy. And I'm sure that you can completely relate to that there's always something pulling energy from you, and you lose your spark. Well, for me, I find rest in this, which may seem silly, but for me, Jesus is the one that charges me up. He helps when I need to charge that battery. I spend time in this, and I get filled up from that well that seems to never run out. That his resource and his energy is completely renewable. I mean, that sounds so corny, but for me, that's what I've found in my life that will continually charge me up and make sure that I have gas so that I can fire. And if you're watching this today and you feel like you're out of gas and you've looked everywhere and you can't figure out where to get filled up from, this is what does it for me, but I hope that you can find something that does it for you. Whether it's taking time for yourself to go out and enjoy nature and sit there and just whatever that is for you. I pray that you find it. So we love you. Thanks for watching. Go get filled up so that you don't run out. See ya.